Hello, everybody. It's Big Cheds. This is part one introduction of my book, My Battles with Cancer, a patient and caregiver's candid memoir. I just released the audiobook. It's available on Audible, and I wanted to do a free version, which is why I'm doing this. I really want to make sure that this book is available to anybody and everybody. So that's why I'm doing this. My other books are also available on Amazon, Trading Wisdom, which is probably the one most people know me from. And I published a book called Trading Quotes as well back in December of 2022. I am, of course, Big Cheds from Twitter. You may know me from there, and that's where people have found me. And of course, I'm on YouTube at Cheds Trading, and that's where you are seeing this video right now. So let's begin. I'm going to record through. If I make a mistake, I'm going to keep going. This isn't like recording the audiobook where it has to be perfect or really near perfect. I'm just going to read it to you. And so thank you for listening. My Battles with Cancer, a patient and caregiver's candid memoir. Dedication to my mother, who taught me how to love. To my father, who helped me to keep things in perspective. To my wife, who stood by me through thick and thin. To my sister, who guided me through the storm. And to everyone else, thank you for supporting me when I needed it the most. Table of contents, all the chapters. Introduction. From cancer.org. In 2022, there were an estimated 1.9 million new cancer cases diagnosed and over 600,000 cancer deaths in the United States. Cancer is also the second leading cause of death globally, according to the World Health Organization. Background. The first title for this memoir was My Body is Weak, but My Mind is Strong. And that started out as a story about my personal battle with cancer. That rallying cry was the mantra that I used to hype myself up before my final chemotherapy session. Unfortunately, someone close to me was also diagnosed with cancer before I could finish writing that story. As a result, I became a cancer caregiver in addition to being a patient. Thus, the new title for this book, this memoir, was born, My Battles with Cancer, reflecting my journey as both a cancer patient and a caregiver. Back in March 2018, I announced on social media that I intended on writing a book about my journey fighting cancer. My Twitter account, @BigCheds, has over 300,000 followers, and that was built up by teaching professional price trend analysis, trading psychology observations, and risk management practices. My style can be described as a combination of Japanese candlestick and classical charting techniques, Eastern and Western TA. All throughout my cancer treatment and my time as a caregiver, I slowly and methodically edited this book. Along the way, I received some great encouragement from my followers who told me they could not wait to read it. I used that encouragement to push myself even harder to finish this project. Quote, when I beat this cancer, I plan on doing a video of my story and possibly a book as inspiration to others. March 20th, 2018 at Big Cheds. Actually, I've done both. I published the book and now I'm doing the video. So how about that? About the author. I grew up in New England with a love for the outdoors and a respect for the traditions that go back to the founding of this country, the United States. My summers were spent camping, swimming, fishing, and playing with the kids in my neighborhood. My time at school was spent half listening to the teachers while I daydreamed about stock trading or exploring the galaxy in a spaceship. Growing up, those daydreams faded away with more modest aspirations taking their place. My new goal was to become a college professor or maybe start my own business. In college, I studied psychology, which ultimately proved invaluable in business and personal matters alike. All along the way, I nurtured my creative side by writing stories and dabbling with poetry when I had the inspiration to do so. Those creative instincts, together with my love for the study of human nature, led to an organic process of writing this book. What it's like to be a patient. Before my diagnosis, I had always thought of myself as young and invincible. I was otherwise quite healthy and arguably in some of the best shape of my life. It was a complete shock to learn that I had cancer. One of the hardest things about being diagnosed with cancer is not knowing how to prepare for what comes next. How can anyone know what treatment and recovery will be like before they go through it? I can tell you, I spent an incredible amount of time just laying in bed at night and trying to imagine how my future would play out, and it was emotionally tormenting. I have always been interested in science and learning how things work. And throughout the process of fighting my cancer and researching my disease, I learned many interesting things. Knowledge is power. And when you are facing something as difficult as cancer, it's normal to just throw your hands up and assume that everything is too complicated for you to understand. Learning about the different medicines I was taking and how my cancer was trying to kill me was a way that I could take back some power and some control over my situation. Because of this process, I became more confident about my eventual outcome. I would encourage you to do the same and to learn as much as you can about your disease and the medicines that you are taking. That way, you too will feel a little bit more confident and in control. What it's like to be a caregiver. When you first find out that your loved one has cancer, it can feel as if you were hit by a train or that everything in the universe is being slowly sucked into a black hole. I was incredibly powerless, and I felt that way as I was unable to help the one that I loved. As caregivers, we have to stay focused on what we can and what we cannot do to help. Though we may often feel as if we cannot make a difference, as a former patient, I can promise you that you do make a difference. You are appreciated. I was lucky. I was extremely lucky to have an amazing support system of friends and family, and they kept me going and constantly reminded me of how much I was loved and cherished. This was especially critical for me when I was first diagnosed. It was incredibly lonely and isolating to know that I had cancer and those around me did not. That left me feeling as if I were defective in some way. Having my support system with me during all my appointments with the doctors and the nurses gave me great comfort, and that reminded me that I was not alone in facing that terrible foe. Best of luck in your journey. It is my great pleasure to share with you now some of the high points and low points I went through in my journey as a cancer patient and a caregiver. My hope is that by sharing my stories and observations from along the way, that may help other people with their learning curve. I also have a great love for writing, and that love helped me to put my thoughts and feelings down on paper, a cathartic process that was critical to understanding my journey. Writing and editing this book was a form of therapy and a way for me to process everything I had gone through from start to finish. More or less, That is how this book came to fruition, both with the goal of helping others, but also myself. I am extremely proud. I am extremely proud and honored to now present to the world this collection of my experiences and reflections as both a cancer patient and a cancer caregiver. My sincere hope is that you will find some strength and inspiration in my words, and that may help guide you through a difficult time. Best of luck in your journey. Cheds. Disclaimer. The following memoir is in many ways an account of what did and what did not work for me as I battled cancer and tried to survive the treatment and recovery process. On that note, I am by no means making any recommendations for your medical care. Rather, I am merely passing on what I learned during my journey. All decisions in this regard should be made in consultation with your doctor. Furthermore, I have taken some creative liberty when describing the characters in this book and their background stories. The descriptions I provide for these individuals may or may not be true to form. The reader should understand that any such changes were made out of an effort to protect the identity of those involved, as well as to make the story more interesting. And next up, we have My Body is Weak, but My Mind is Strong. The first chapter, I'll get right into that. Folks, thank you for listening. And of course, this is My Battles with Cancer, a patient and caregiver's candid memoir, the free version. I'm doing the whole book for free on YouTube. YouTube is at Cheds Trading. I'm, of course, Big Cheds on Twitter, at Big Cheds. This is My Battles with Cancer. Check out my other books as well, Trading Wisdom and Trading Quotes. Thank you very much, folks. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.